I'm learning one foreign language per year, and I want to talk to you about why I'm doing this and what you can get out of it. Hi, my name is Zachary. I'm a polyglot and an author, and today I want to talk to you about how I've made learning languages so easy for myself, how I condense that learning process, and what you can get out of me learning these languages. But first, let's start with that why. So this year is Spanish for me, but it's not my first foreign language, and I have other ones on the list for me to learn. What I do as I take on any foreign language, though, is I get clear on why I want to learn the language and what it is that I'm going to do in that language. You need to know those two things from as early as possible. And yes, those may change as you learn more about the language and the cultures, but you need to keep that on your mind of why you're learning the language and what your goals actually are in the language. Why I want to learn Spanish is I live in America. Spanish has an increasing demand because I'd like to speak to my neighbors, but there's also a rich world history from Spanish-speaking countries. It's one of the most spoken languages in the world. There's so much media made in Spanish, like it's crazy. There's so much that you can do with it. Do I want to pursue Spanish for all or any of those reasons? All of them? No. Any of them? Sure. I want to be able to have basic conversations with my neighbors and with friends, with people in general, about daily conversations about things that I like about my own interests. So I want to have a level of conversational fluency. I also want to be able to appreciate the different cultures and histories around the world, and yes, in my own backyard, from Spanish-speaking people. A lot of that's going to take place in reading, for me, at least in my experience. Well, yes, experiencing and understanding the different cultures and traditions, that may be in a spoken form, so listening, but a lot of it is going to be in reading. So I know what it is that I want to do in Spanish. I want to be able to speak basically, read extensively, and listen at about the same level at which I can speak. So fine. Writing, not a particular goal of mine in Spanish, so I can, practically speaking, cross that one off the list. And why do I want to learn Spanish? Well, for the reasons that I explained that in the what. And keeping those in mind as I go through Spanish will keep me focused on the things that truly interest me so that I'm not stuck in one rigid path. I can follow my own interests and keep Spanish fun for me as I learn new challenging grammar and vocabulary sets, because I know that it's going directly towards why I want to do what I want to do in Spanish. So define those early, write them down, and if they change, of course, just update them, but keep that in mind from day one. But from day one till when? How long does learning a language take? It varies, but let's talk about that. How long does it take to learn a language? Like I mentioned just a moment ago, it varies depending on the language that you're learning. If you're learning something that shares an alphabet rather, like English to Spanish, a lot of it's going to already be pretty familiar, so there's not as much to learn there. But if you go into Chinese or Japanese or something like that, or even Russian or Ukrainian, something that has a different type of appearance, there's going to be a lot more to learn there. So it's going to take longer, sure. But what it really comes down to is knowing two things: grammar in a general sense, and understanding how to structure your learning. A lot of where language acquisition goes wrong, at least in America, is the education is very lopsided in the wrong areas. There's a guy named Paul Nation who lays out what he calls 4 strands of language acquisition. There's meaning-focused input, meaning-focused output, language-focused instruction, and fluency development. A lot of language acquisition, in my opinion, seems to be some kind of meaning-focused input, but language-focused instruction. They teach you a lot about the grammar and how to conjugate verbs and what adjectives go where and how those change. They teach a lot about the structure and the syntax of the language. They give you just enough to make you feel like you're learning the language as far as like input and output goes, but there's no development. There's no fluency. You're not practicing it. You're not developing things in a sense that you can actively recall them. And in many cases, you're not even learning the things that you actually care to learn about in the first place. There's some balance of input, output, language learning, and fluency development that is right for you, and it varies from person to person. Generally, you need a little bit of language-focused instruction, so learning about the grammar and syntax. You don't need a whole lot. You need to learn that once. It's maybe 10 or 15% of what you're learning. You need considerable input, a considerable amount of output, but that input and output should largely be focused on fluency development, practicing what you know in a context that you care about, as close to like a native type of learning that you can, of just using the things that you're learning in a context that you care about to make it stick sooner so you can move on faster to more things that you care about. Because if you don't care about the things that you're learning, it's just not going to stick. Like I tried learning Arabic, but a lot of the resources that I was finding was about business and engineering. And sure, that stuff is interesting in its own regard, but that's not why I wanted to learn Arabic. I wasn't learning things in my own context, so I didn't care about the things that I was finding. So eventually I kind of gave up and moved on to something else that was useful and interesting to me. But I digress. So that's the structuring your studies. A basic understanding of grammar will skyrocket your learning capability and capacity, okay? Because grammar worldwide is finite. Nouns are nouns. Things are things, actions are actions. They just have different appearances based on the language that you're applying it to. But if you understand the theories of grammar, and meaning like the ideas of grammar, what an object pronoun is, and how these things all relate, you can make relations easier whenever you get to your foreign language. Because how hard is it, how often has it been that you have this table of Spanish grammar in high school, and it's, hey, learn this table. Well, not only are the words on the board, on the table, foreign to you, but the concept of conjugation is so new to you, it might as well be foreign in and of itself. But if you had some background of, oh, run, ran, runs, we do conjugation too, so it's just like that. You've already cut out half of the challenge. And if you can look for patterns in the things that you're learning where they apply, you can cut down, let's say, for example, a table of 18 different endings for a regular verb in Spanish to 2 or 3 different patterns. So how much easier would it then be to learn 2 or 3 things instead of 18 different things for 1 tense? Times 14 tenses, it's gonna be overwhelming. It's gonna suck. And it's gonna feel like it takes forever, that it's insurmountable. But if you have a basic understanding of grammar, if you look for patterns, and then you apply those to a properly structured learning setup and schedule, it's gonna set you leaps and bounds ahead of where you were, 5 days ago, 1 week ago, a year ago, however long ago high school was for you or anything. So understand that as a background, and you'll really see that learning a foreign language does not have to take that long. It doesn't have to take years. Sometimes it doesn't even have to take months, I promise you. So that's for your own process. But I'm going to be doing this for the, 5th, 6th time, something like that. And I'm going to be doing it more and more. I'm going to be documenting that process to share it with you. So not to say that you have to do it my way or anything, but so you can see how it's done. So you can see how I'm doing it and get what works for you. So something that I found in the languages that I've learned is that the best resources in any foreign language are the ones that you make for yourself. And all this really comes back down to that context is king. Like I mentioned a moment ago, if you don't care about the things that you're learning, that's it. You just won't care about it. How many times are you going to be able to see or say that the man eats an apple? Or how many times are you going to be able to read something about engineering if you're not an engineer, or you want to say something more than the man eats the apple? You have to care about what you're learning about. I've already done that in the form of, books that I've written and other resources that I've published as well, which are, some of them are available for free. The resources like tables and word lists, grammar, notes and things like that, those are free. I sell my books, of course, because it's, printed goods. Like, I'm not just giving these things away. But I'm documenting the process to show that what I'm doing works, and it can work. It works for me at least, and maybe it can work for you too. And if you choose to do some of the things, any of the things that I do, and maybe you like some of the things that I've made, if they're free, then they're free. If it's something like a book, I promise you, it's not breaking the bank. So they're on Amazon. They're easy to find. But I want to share this with you. You have goals in the language that you're learning. Whether it's Spanish, French, Hmong, Latin, like a dead language like that, fine. You are choosing to learn something. You're choosing an understandably a large endeavor, something that is a time-consuming process that takes effort. You have a goal for what you're doing. I'm making these things, I'm doing this because I want to help you achieve your goals. That's why I'm actually doing this. No, it's not just, hey, buy my book or come check out my page. Like, yeah, sure, great, but I want to help you reach your goals. That's why I'm doing this. And if I can help you in one video, if you watch 5 seconds and gets one thing out of there and that's all you ever get, like, cool, great, I've helped you. Mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, let me know what languages you're learning, what language or languages you're learning. Do things like this help you? Are like the mindsets and perspective that I'm going to share helpful, or would you like to also learn more about grammar or language-specific grammar? What do you want to see? I guess is what I'm really asking. So please let me know. and I really hope that something in here helped you out. If it did, please let me know that too. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, wherever you can find me, because I'm in a couple of places. And yes, I have written books. Yes, I publish free stuff elsewhere. If you choose to and those help you, great. Please let me know too. Thank you again so much, and I will see you in the next one.